The gown doesn't fit. Seraphine stands motionless while servants yank at the laces, their fingers rough and impatient against her spine. The dress was made for Leora, her sister, with the narrow waist and perfect curves that made alphas weep. On Seraphine, it bunches in the wrong places, gaps where it should cling, strains where it should flow. Hopeless, her mother mutters from the doorway, arms crossed over her chest. Absolutely hopeless. We'll have to pin it in the back and pray no one looks too closely. Seraphine says nothing. She learned long ago that silence hurts less than speaking. 3 hours ago, she was scrubbing floors in the servants' wing, exactly where an omega of her standing belonged. The unwanted daughter. The plain one. The embarrassment her family hid away whenever important visitors arrived. Then, Leora ran. The memory still burns fresh. Her sister's tear-streaked face as she fled through the gardens. Wedding veil streaming behind her like a ghost. The carriage, waiting in the shadows. The Alpha Guard who helped her escape to the goddess, knows where. And now Seraphine wears her sister's dress, preparing to marry the man Leora would rather die than face. The Scarred King, the Beast of Thornhaven, Alpha Kale, ruler of the Northern Territories whose very name makes grown warriors flinch. Stop trembling! Her father snaps, striding into the room. Lord Aldrich's face is thunderous, his reputation hanging by a thread. You'll do your duty, girl. The treaty demands a bride from Ashford Pack. If not Leora, then you. Father, please. The words slip out before she can stop them. He'll know I'm not her. He'll be furious. He's never met either of you. Aldrich's smile is cruel. And even if he suspects, what will he do? Reject a bride and start a war? The treaty binds him as much as us. Seraphine's stomach churns. She's heard the stories. Everyone has. The assassination attempt a decade ago that left Kale horribly scarred when he was just 14. The cursed blade that carved wounds into his flesh that never fully healed. Some say he wears a mask to hide the ruin of his face. Others whisper that his wolf has gone feral from the constant pain, that he's more beast than man now, that he's killed 3 healers who tried to help him, that he's slowly dying, and taking his kingdom down with him. The carriage is ready, a servant announces. Seraphine closes her eyes, drawing one last breath of the only home she's ever known. When she opens them, her mother is already gone. Her father waits impatiently by the door, unwilling to waste another moment on his disappointing daughter. Move, he commands. Your king awaits. The journey to Thornhaven takes 2 days through mountain passes so treacherous that twice the carriage nearly slides off the road. Seraphine sits alone in the darkness, listening to the howling wind and wondering if death by cliff might be preferable to what awaits her. She doesn't sleep. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees the illustrations from the storybooks the Scarred King rendered as a monster, all twisted flesh and burning eyes. A cautionary tale mothers told their daughters about what happens to omegas who misbehave. Now that monster would be her husband. When Thornhaven finally emerges from the mist, her breath catches in her throat. The fortress rises from the mountainside like a jagged crown of black stone, its towers clawing at the gray sky. No flags flutter from its battlements. No lights warm its windows. The whole structure looks less like a home, and more like a tomb waiting for its next occupant. The carriage passes through iron gates that groan like dying things. In the courtyard beyond, rows of warriors stand in perfect formation, their faces hard as granite, their eyes tracking her with cold assessment. No one smiles, no one bows. She's not a bride here, she's a sacrifice. Lady Leora of Ashford Pack, the herald announces, as she steps from the carriage on trembling legs. The lie tastes like ash on her tongue. But she forces her chin up, forces her spine straight, forces herself to look toward the massive doors of the great hall. They swing open with a sound like thunder, and there, silhouetted against the torchlight within, stands the Scarred King. He's taller than she imagined, broader, his dark hair falls past his shoulders, partially obscuring his face, but she can see the damage. Even from here, the ruined landscape of his left cheek, the scar that drags his eye downward, the mottled flesh that speaks of fire and blade and unimaginable pain. But it's his eyes that stop her heart, golden, burning, fixed on her with an intensity that makes her wolf whimper and press flat against her soul. He descends the steps slowly, each movement carrying the weight of barely contained power. When he stops before her, close enough that she can smell pine and steel and something darker underneath like blood, never quite washed away, His ruined lips twist into something that might be a smile. "My bride," he says, his voice a low rasp that scrapes down her spine. "You're not what I expected." The wedding ceremony takes place at midnight. Seraphine stands before the altar in the fortress's ancient hall, surrounded by flickering candles and the silent judgment of 100 warriors. The officiant's words wash over her like water. Meaningless sounds that mark the end of one life and the beginning of another. Beside her, Kale looms like a shadow made flesh. He hasn't spoken since that first moment in the courtyard. Hasn't looked at her, hasn't touched her, and hasn't acknowledged her existence beyond the basic requirements of the ritual. When they exchange vows, his voice is flat and mechanical. When they share the ceremonial cup, his fingers brush hers for the briefest instant before pulling away. She should be grateful for his indifference. Instead, she feels oddly hollow. By the light of the mother moon, the officiant intones, "I pronounce you bound. Alpha and Omega, king and queen, flesh and spirit until death, death." The word hangs in the candlelit air like a promise. The gathered wolves offer no applause, no celebration. They simply turn and file out, leaving the newlyweds alone in the vast hall with only the guttering candles for company. "You'll have chambers in the east wing." Kale's voice breaks the silence like a stone through glass. "Servants will attend you. You'll have everything you need." "And you, my lord?" Seraphine asks, surprising herself with the steadiness of her voice. "Where will you be?" Something flickers across his marked features. Surprise, perhaps, or dark amusement. Elsewhere. He turns to leave, and something desperate claws its way up her throat. She's alone. Completely alone in this cold fortress with a husband who can't even bear to look at her. "My lord, wait." He pauses but doesn't turn. "What?" She scrambles for words, for anything to delay the crushing loneliness that awaits. "Is there nothing you wish to know about me? About your wife?" The laugh that escapes him is harsh and broken. "I know everything I need to know. You're Aldrich's daughter, payment for a treaty signed in blood. Your wants and wishes are irrelevant. Your purpose is to exist, nothing more." The words cut deeper than they should. She's heard worse from her own family, after all. But then he turns, and she catches something in his amber gaze that makes her breath catch. Pain. Not just physical, but something older and deeper. A loneliness that mirrors her own. "Get some sleep," he says, and his voice is almost gentle. "Tomorrow will be worse." Before she can ask what he means, he's gone. Swallowed by the shadows of the corridor, the servant who leads her to her chambers introduces herself as Mira. She's a small, quick woman with kind eyes and nervous hands that flutter like trapped birds whenever footsteps echo in the hallway. "Here you are, my lady," Mira whispers, opening the door to reveal a room that's surprisingly comfortable. A fire crackles in the hearth, and the bed is piled with furs. "Is there anything you need?" "Information," Seraphine says quietly. What did he mean when he said tomorrow would be worse? Mira's face pales. She glances at the door, then steps closer, her voice dropping to barely a breath. "The king's uncle arrives tomorrow, Lord Varn. And that's dangerous?" "Lord Varn has been regent since the king was injured." Mira's hands twist in her apron. "Some say he doesn't want the king to recover. Some say he's the one who arranged the assassination in the first place." Seraphine's blood runs cold. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you seem kind, my lady. And kind people don't last long in Thornhaven." Mira meets her eyes with sudden fierceness. "Watch your back. Trust no one. And whatever you do, don't let Lord Varn know your weaknesses." She's gone before Seraphine can ask anything more, leaving only silence and the crackling fire. Sleep doesn't come easily. Seraphine lies awake, listening to the wind howl against the stone walls, trying to untangle the web she's stumbled into. A king who's dying. An uncle who may want him dead. A treaty marriage built on lies. And her, the rejected Omega nobody wanted, standing in the middle of it all. Just before dawn, a sound pulls her from fitful dreams. A groan, low and agonized, coming from somewhere deep within the fortress. She shouldn't investigate. She should stay in her chambers like a proper bride, and mind her own affairs. But the sound comes again, raw with suffering, and something in her chest twists in response. She follows the sound through darkened corridors, her bare feet silent on cold stone. The groans grow louder as she descends a narrow staircase, until she reaches a door that's slightly ajar. Through the gap, she sees him. Kale kneels on the floor of a sparse chamber, stripped to the waist, his scarred torso gleaming with sweat. But it's not the old scars that make her gasp, it's the fresh wounds. Black veins spreading from a gash on his side that seems to pulse with dark energy. The curse. This is what's killing him. His head snaps up, golden eyes finding her in the shadows. For one terrible moment, rage transforms his features into something truly monstrous. "Get out," he snarls, his voice more wolf than man. But Seraphine doesn't run. Because underneath the rage, she sees what she recognized in the great hall. A man in unbearable pain, completely alone. The door slams in her face with enough force to rattle the stones. Seraphine stands in the corridor, her heart pounding, the image of those black veins seared into her mind. She's heard of curse wounds before, injuries inflicted by dark magic that resist all healing, that fester and spread until they consume their victim entirely. But she's never seen one. Never felt the wrongness of it radiating through the air like heat from a forge. "You shouldn't be here." The voice comes from behind her. Seraphine spins to find a tall man watching her from the shadows, his pale eyes catching the torchlight like chips of ice. Lord Varn. He looks like Kale might have looked before the scars, the same strong jaw, the same predatory grace. But where the king's features hold pain, Varn's holds something far more calculated. His smile doesn't reach his eyes as he steps closer. The new bride, wandering the halls before dawn. His voice is silk over steel. "How curious." "I heard a sound," Seraphine says, fighting to keep her voice steady. "I was concerned." Concerned. Varn's smile widens. "How touching. But you needn't worry yourself about my nephew's condition. It's being managed." "Managed how?" The question slips out before she can stop it. Varn's icy gaze narrows, reassessing her with sudden interest. "You're bolder than your sister was said to be." He circles her slowly, like a predator examining prey. "Leora was described as gentle, timid. You seem rather different." Fear spikes through her chest. Does he know? Has he already seen through the deception? "Marriage changes a woman," she manages. Varn's laugh is soft and unpleasant. "Indeed it does. A word of advice. Little queen, your husband is beyond help. Whatever affection you might develop for him would be wasted. The curse will take him within the year, and then..." He spreads his hands. "Well, then things will be different." He glides past her and disappears down the corridor, leaving his threat hanging in the air like smoke. The days that follow teach Seraphine her place in Thornhaven. She's given fine clothes and good food, but no purpose. The servants bow but won't meet her eyes. The warriors ignore her completely. She wanders the fortress like a ghost, invisible and irrelevant, while the stone walls press closer with each passing hour. Kale avoids her entirely. She catches glimpses of him, sometimes crossing a courtyard, emerging from a council chamber, but he never acknowledges her presence. The one time their paths directly cross, he looks through her like she's made of glass, and continues walking without a word. It shouldn't hurt. She didn't marry him for love, and he didn't choose her at all. But somehow it does. On the 5th day, she discovers the healing wing. It's tucked away in a forgotten corner of the fortress, dusty and abandoned. Cobwebs drape the shelves where medicines once stood. Dried herbs crumble to powder at her touch. No one uses this place anymore. Seraphine turns to find Mira hovering in the doorway, her nervous eyes darting between the empty shelves and the corridor behind her. Why not? After the 3rd healer died trying to help the king, Lord Varn declared healing practices forbidden. Mira steps inside, lowering her voice. He said it was for everyone's protection, that the curse destroys anyone who tries to interfere with it, and everyone just accepted that? What choice did we have? Mira's voice cracks. People were afraid. They still are. Warriors train through broken bones now. Servants hide their illnesses. Last month, a stable boy died from an infected cut because he was too scared to ask for help. Rage flares in Seraphine's chest, hot and sudden and startling in its intensity. This isn't protection. It's a death sentence disguised as safety. "That's madness," she whispers. "That's Thornhaven," Mira replies sadly. That night, Seraphine lies awake thinking about the abandoned healing wing, the suffering servants, and the dying king. She thinks about Varn's cold smile and his promise that things will be different when Kale is gone. She thinks about the black veins spreading across her husband's torso, and the raw agony in his golden eyes. When sleep finally comes, she dreams of her grandmother, the old Omega, who raised her in secret, while her family pretended she didn't exist. Her grandmother's hands had glowed with soft light when she touched wounds. Her grandmother had taught her things, whispered things, before the sickness took her, things Seraphine has spent years trying to forget, things that might kill her if she tries to use them. The scream shatters her dreams just before dawn. She's running before she's fully awake, following the sound to the training courtyard where a crowd has gathered around a fallen figure. A young Omega girl lies on the stones, her arm bent at an impossible angle, white bone jutting through skin, blood pools beneath her. Her screams have faded to whimpers. "Someone help her," Seraphine demands, pushing through the crowd. She needs a healer. Healing is forbidden. A warrior steps forward, his face professionally blank. "She'll recover, or she won't. That's the way of Thornhaven. She'll die. Look at her, she's losing too much blood. Then she dies." The warrior shrugs. Weakness has no place in this pack. Something snaps inside Seraphine's chest. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet breaking of chains she didn't even know she wore. She drops to her knees beside the girl. She places her hands on the shattered arm, and she reaches for the light her grandmother showed her all those years ago. It comes like a sunrise, warm and golden, flowing from her palms into the broken bone. She feels the fragments shift, feels the muscle weave back together, and feels the skin seal over fresh and pink. The girl's whimpers fade to silence. Her eyes go wide with wonder. And when Seraphine looks up, the courtyard has gone deathly quiet. Warriors stare at her with expressions ranging from shock to horror to something that might be hope, but it's the figure on the balcony above that makes her blood freeze. Kale watches her with those burning amber eyes, his scarred face unreadable. Behind him, Varn's expression twists with fury. She's exposed herself, revealed the secret she's hidden her entire life, and now everything will change. The summons comes within the hour. 2 guards escort Seraphine through winding corridors, their silence heavier than any accusation. She keeps her chin raised, her hands steady at her sides, even as her heart threatens to crack her ribs with its pounding. The throne room doors swing open to reveal Kyle seated on a chair of carved obsidian, his marked face cast in shadow. Varn stands at his right hand, pale eyes burning with barely contained rage. "Leave us," Kale commands the guards. "Nephew, surely," Varn begins. "I said leave us." The words carry the unmistakable weight of alpha authority. Varn's jaw tightens, but he bows stiffly and withdraws, his gaze promising retribution as he passes Seraphine. The doors close with a sound like a tomb sealing. For a long moment, neither speaks. Kyle studies her from his throne, those golden eyes searching her face for something she can't name. When he finally rises, she forces herself not to retreat. He moves closer, close enough that she can see the individual scars mapping his flesh, the dark circles beneath his eyes, and the slight tremor in his hands that speaks of constant pain. "You're a healer," he says quietly. "A true one. Not the charlatans my uncle paraded before me." "Yes, my lord." "Why did you hide it?" The question catches her off guard. She expected anger, punishment, demands. Not this quiet curiosity. "Because healers die in Thornhaven," she answers honestly. "Your uncle made that clear." Something shifts in Kale's expression, a flicker of darkness that might be guilt. 3 healers tried to cure my curse. 3 healers burned from the inside out, screaming as the dark magic consumed them. His voice roughens. "I watched each one die, held the last one's hand as she begged me to end her suffering." Seraphine's breath catches. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Be warned." He steps closer still, and she can smell the pine and steel of him, underlaid with something bitter, the curse, eating him alive. "Whatever power you carry, the curse will destroy it. Destroy you. I won't allow that." "You won't allow it?" The words escape before she can stop them. "My lord, with respect, I didn't ask your permission to heal that girl, and I won't ask permission to use a gift I was born with." His eyes flash dangerously. For a heartbeat, she sees the beast everyone fears, the feral wolf lurking beneath the king's skin. Then, impossibly, his ruined lips twitch, almost a smile. "You have fire," he murmurs. "I didn't expect that. There's a great deal you don't know about me, my lord." Clearly. He turns away, moving to the window where gray light filters through ancient glass. My uncle believes you're dangerous. He's already counseling me to send you back to Ashford in disgrace. Fear claws at her throat. If she's sent back, her family will know she failed. Will know she's been exposed as a healer, a gift they made her swear to hide after her grandmother's death. They'll cast her out completely, and she'll have nowhere left to go. And what do you believe? She asks. Cale is silent for so long she thinks he won't answer. When he speaks, his voice is distant, lost in memory. I was 14 when the assassin came. He carried a blade forged in dark magic, meant to kill slowly, painfully. My parents died protecting me. His hand rises to touch the ruin of his face. I survived, but the curse took root. It spreads a little more each day, and nothing stops it. Nothing heals it. My uncle says it's made me strong, that suffering builds character. He turns to face her, and in the gray light, he looks impossibly young. Impossibly tired. But I'm so tired of suffering, Seraphine. I'm tired of watching my people suffer because they're afraid to show weakness. I'm tired of being a monster in a kingdom of monsters. Her name. He used her name. You're not a monster, she whispers. You don't know me. I know what I saw the night I found you. She steps toward him, drawn by something stronger than fear. I saw a man in pain, carrying a burden no one should carry alone. His breath catches audibly. For one suspended moment, they stand close enough to touch, close enough that she can see the war raging behind his amber gaze. Then he steps back, the walls slamming down behind his expression. Heal your servants if you must, he says, his voice carefully controlled. But stay away from me. And stay away from my uncle. He's more dangerous than you know. Why do you let him control you? The question is bold, perhaps foolish, but she can't hold it back. Cale's laugh is hollow. Because he's the only family I have left. Because without him, I would have died years ago. His eyes meet hers with terrible honesty. Because some chains are forged in guilt, and those are the hardest to break. He gestures toward the door. Go. Before I change my mind about letting you stay. Seraphine bows and turns to leave. But at the threshold, she pauses. The curse that's killing you, she says softly. Dark magic can be fought with light. My grandmother taught me that. Before she died. She doesn't wait for his response. But as the doors close behind her, she swears she hears him whisper her name again, soft and wondering. Like a prayer he's afraid to speak aloud. The weeks that follow reshape everything Seraphine thought she knew about survival. Word spreads through the fortress like water through cracks in stone. The new queen can heal. The new queen will help. At first, they come in secret servants with hidden injuries. Guards with wounds they've concealed for fear of punishment. Seraphine tends them all in the abandoned healing wing, her hands glowing with warm light as bones mend and infections fade. Mira becomes her shadow, her assistant, her first true friend in this cold place. Together, they scour the fortress for forgotten medicines, dry herbs that still hold potency, bandages and poultices and tinctures. You're changing things, Mira whispers one night as they work side by side. People are starting to hope again. Hope is dangerous here, Seraphine replies, but she can't suppress the warmth that blooms in her chest. Slowly, the fortress transforms. Servants walk taller. Guards nod at her in the corridors instead of looking through her. Children who once cowered in corners now approach her openly, showing scraped knees and splinters with trusting eyes. Even some warriors begin to seek her out, shamefaced and secretive, but desperate enough to swallow their pride. A broken finger that healed wrong. A shoulder that never set properly, old wounds that ache with every change of weather. She helps them all, but through it all, she watches Cale from afar. She sees him in council meetings, his scarred face grim, as he argues with advisors. She catches glimpses of him training alone in the pre-dawn darkness, pushing his failing body through brutal exercises. She hears him pacing his chambers at night, groaning with pain he'll never admit to anyone. The curse is spreading. She can see it in the new gray threads in his dark hair, the deepening shadows under his eyes, the way he sometimes stops mid-stride and grips the wall, waiting for a wave of agony to pass. He's dying. And he's too proud, too afraid, too bound by guilt to let her help. The morning Cale announces his departure. Seraphine's heart drops to her feet. The eastern border requires attention, he tells his assembled court. his voice carrying the old authority despite the weariness etched into every line of his body. Raiders have been testing our defenses. I'll lead the response personally. Varn steps forward, concern painted across his features so convincingly that Seraphine almost believes it. Nephew, in your condition, my condition is no one's concern but my own. Kale's amber eyes flash warning. I leave at noon. Varn, you'll manage affairs in my absence. No. The word screams through Seraphine's mind. Varn in charge. Kale riding into battle with the curse eating him alive. Everything that could go wrong, happening at once. She catches Kale's gaze across the hall, trying to communicate her fear through expression alone, but his face remains stone, acknowledging nothing, revealing nothing. By noon, he's gone. 50 warriors ride out with their king, their horses' hooves thundering across the drawbridge like a funeral drum. Seraphine watches from the battlements until the last rider disappears into the mountain mist. Be careful, my foolish king, she whispers to the wind. Come back to me. The thought startles her with its intensity. Come back to me, as if he belongs to her. As if she has any right to claim him, but the heart doesn't ask permission. And somewhere in these cold weeks, between the healing and the watching, and the quiet moments of connection, her heart has made its choice. Varn wastes no time. The first restriction comes within hours of Kale's departure, a formal decree extending the healing ban with harsh new penalties. Anyone caught seeking treatment from the Queen would face imprisonment. The second order follows the next day, confining Seraphine to her chambers for her own protection. Lord Varn's orders, the guard says, blocking her doorway with crossed arms. You're not to leave until the king returns. I'm the queen, Seraphine protests. He can't. Lord Varn is regent in the king's absence. The guard's eyes hold a flicker of apology, but his stance doesn't waver. His word is law. The door closes. The lock clicks, and Seraphine realizes just how much danger she's truly in. Days pass in suffocating isolation. Mira smuggles her food and whispered news. The servants are terrified. The warriors restless. The fortress holding its breath. Varn has been meeting with strange visitors in the night. Messengers have been dispatched to unknown destinations. Something's coming. Mira whispers through the door crack. I can feel it. Everyone can. On the 7th night, the screaming starts. Seraphine presses her ear to the door, her blood running cold at the sounds echoing through the corridor. Shouts. Steel on steel. The unmistakable howls of wolves in combat. Then, footsteps running. Desperate, and Mira's voice, shrill with terror. My lady! The king, they're bringing the king, he's dying. The lock shatters under Seraphine's shoulder before she even realizes she's moving. She bursts into the corridor to find chaos servants fleeing, guards running. And at the center of it all, 4 warriors carrying a makeshift stretcher. Kale lies motionless upon it, his armor dented and bloodied, his skin gray as ash. The black veins she remembers from that first night have spread across his entire chest, pulsing with dark energy that makes the air itself feel poisoned. What happened? Seraphine demands, falling into step beside them. Ambush. One warrior gasps. They knew exactly where we'd be. Cursed blades everywhere. He took 3 wounds protecting us. 3 wounds. 3 new entry points for the dark magic that's already killing him. Take him to his chambers, she orders. Now, my lady, Lord Varn said. I don't care what Varn said. Her voice rings with authority she didn't know she possessed. I am your queen, and I'm ordering you to take my husband to his chambers. Anyone who tries to stop me will answer for it when he wakes. If he wakes, the warriors exchange glances, then nod. They move. Behind them, emerging from the shadows with murder in his pale eyes, Varn watches them go. The king's chambers become a battlefield. Seraphine kneels beside Kale's massive bed, her hands pressed against his chest, pouring every ounce of light she possesses into his failing body. The curse fights her at every turn, a living darkness that writhes beneath his skin, devouring her healing energy like fire-consuming parchment. 3 new wounds, 3 new channels for the dark magic to spread. She can feel the curse racing toward his heart, eager to finish what it started years ago. Stay with me, she whispers, tears streaming down her face. Don't you dare leave me? Not now, not like this. His eyelids flutter but don't open. His lips move, forming words without sound. The door crashes open behind her. Step away from him, Varn's voice cuts through the room like a blade. Behind him, a dozen warriors file in, their hands on their weapons. I'm saving his life, Seraphine snarls, not turning from her work. You're killing him. Varn moves closer, his shadow falling across the bed. Just like the others. Your healing is poison to the curse, it accelerates the spread. Every moment you touch him, you bring him closer to death. Doubt pierces her concentration. Is it true? Is she making it worse? But no. She can feel the curse weakening under her assault. She can feel Kale's heartbeat growing stronger, not weaker. Varn is lying. I know what you're doing, she says quietly, her hands never leaving Kale's chest. I know you arranged the ambush. You want him dead. Silence stretches through the chamber. When Varn speaks again, his voice has lost all pretense of concern. Clever little Omega, too clever by half. He signals his warriors forward. Restrain her. We'll deal with her after my nephew succumbs to his tragic wounds. Hands grab her shoulders, try to pull her away. She screams, clinging to Kale with desperate strength. No, I won't let you. A warrior's fist connects with her temple. Stars explode across her vision. Through the haze of pain, she sees Varn lean over Kale's unconscious form, a thin blade glinting in his hand, the same oily sheen she recognizes. Cursed steel. I really did love you once, nephew, Varn murmurs. But you're too much like your father, too soft, too willing to let weakness flourish. The blade rises. The kingdom needs strength. I'll give them that, at least. No. The word erupts from somewhere deeper than thought, deeper than instinct. It carries power, raw and blazing, and utterly foreign, something her grandmother once whispered about. The light that only wakes when the heart has something worth dying for. Light explodes from Seraphine's body, the warriors holding her fly backward, crashing against stone walls. Varn staggers, throwing up an arm to shield his eyes from the radiance pouring off her in waves. She doesn't understand what's happening. She only knows that she's moving, placing herself between Varn and the bed, her entire body singing with power she's never felt before. You will not touch him, she says, and her voice echoes strangely, layered with harmonics that make the very air tremble. Not now. Not ever. Varn recovers quickly, his face twisting with rage and something that might be fear. What are you? I'm his wife. The light intensifies, burning brighter than the sun. I'm his queen. And I'm the woman who's going to end you. Varn lunges with the cursed blade. Seraphine doesn't think, she simply acts. Her hand closes around his wrist. Light sears into his flesh, and he screams a horrible, inhuman sound that echoes off the chamber walls. The cursed blade clatters to the floor, its dark magic dissolving under the radiance pouring from her palm. But Varn is old, strong, a survivor of countless battles and betrayals. His free hand finds her throat. He slams her against the wall, his fingers crushing her windpipe with savage strength. The light flickers as her oxygen fades. Stars dance across her vision again, darker this time. You think you can defeat me? Varn's face hovers inches from hers, pale eyes blazing with madness. I've killed alphas with my bare hands. I've brought kingdoms to their knees. You're nothing but an Omega playing at power you don't understand. Seraphine's vision narrows to a tunnel. She can't breathe, can't think, can't. The roar shakes the foundations of the fortress. Varn's head snaps toward the sound, his grip loosening for just a moment. And in that moment, a massive black wolf launches itself across the chamber. Kale, his jaws close around Varn's shoulder, ripping the older man away from Seraphine. She collapses to the floor, gasping for air, watching through tear-blurred eyes as nephew and uncle clash in a whirlwind of teeth and claws. Kale is terrifying in his wolf form, all muscle and fury, and barely contained violence. But he's also dying, the curse still spreading through his veins, weakening him with every passing second. Varn shifts mid-combat, his own wolf form gray and grizzled but still powerful. They tear at each other, blood spraying across ancient stone, howls of rage echoing through the night. Seraphine forces herself upright. She has to help, has to do something. The light still flickers within her, weakened but not extinguished. She gathers what remains, focusing it into her palms. Kale has Varn pinned now, his jaws at his uncle's throat. But he's hesitating, she can see it in the tremor of his massive body. This is the man who raised him, the last family he has left. Do it, she calls out, her voice raw. He'll never stop. You know he won't. Varn's wolf form laughs a horrible, gurgling sound. You can't, can you? Too weak, too soft, just like your father. Something breaks in Kale's golden eyes, his jaws close. Varn's body goes limp. For a long moment, the only sound is ragged breathing, Kale's, her own, the distant wails of guards who heard the commotion too late. Then Kale shifts back to human form and collapses. Seraphine crawls to his side, gathering his broken body in her arms. The curse has spread across his entire torso now. Black veins reaching toward his neck, like grasping fingers. Hold on, she begs, pressing her palms to his chest. Please, Kale, hold on. The light rises in her hands, brighter than before, fueled by something beyond mere healing. Love, she realizes dimly. This is what love feels like. She pours it all into him, and prays it will be enough. Hours blur into eternity. Seraphine kneels beside Kale's bed, her hands pressed to his chest, light flowing from her palms in an endless stream. The curse fights her with savage intensity, a living thing that refuses to die, that claws and writhes and screams inside his flesh. She's never healed anything like this. Never faced darkness so deep, so hungry. Her grandmother's voice echoes through her memory. Dark magic feeds on fear, child. On isolation, on the belief that suffering must be endured alone. But light, true light, comes from connection. From love that refuses to let go. Seraphine closes her eyes and reaches deeper. Not just into Kale's body, but into his soul. She finds him there, in the darkness, a boy of 14 watching his parents die. A young man learning to bury his heart beneath ice and stone. A king who convinced himself that love was weakness, because loving meant losing. I see you, she whispers, tears streaming down her face. I see all of you. And I'm not letting go. The light intensifies, burning through her veins like liquid fire. She feels her own life force mingling with the healing energy, pouring into him without reservation. It might kill her. She knows this. She doesn't care. Sarah. His voice is barely a breath, but it anchors her like nothing else could. Sarah, stop. You'll die. Then I'll die saving you. Her voice breaks on the words. I spent my whole life being rejected, being told I was worthless, being hidden away like something shameful. The light blazes brighter, and she feels the curse beginning to crack. But you saw me, Kale. That first day in the courtyard. When you said I wasn't what you expected, you actually looked at me. Not through me. At me. His hand finds hers, weak but warm, his fingers intertwining with hers. I wasn't supposed to be your bride, she confesses, the truth spilling out between ragged breaths. Leora ran. I took her place. I'm not the woman you were promised. Silence. Her heart stops. Then his grip tightens on her hand. I know, he whispers. Her eyes fly open. What? I knew the moment I saw you. A ghost of a smile crosses his ruined lips. Leora was described as timid, gentle. You walked into my courtyard with fire in your eyes and steel in your spine. His thumb traces circles on her palm. I didn't want Leora. I wanted the woman brave enough to take her place. Something shatters inside her chest, not painfully, but like ice breaking in spring. The walls she built around her heart crumble to dust. You impossible man, she breathes. You knew this whole time? I'm dying, Sarah, not blind. A laugh escapes her, wet with tears. You're not dying. I won't allow it. She kisses him. It's graceless and desperate, tasting of tears and blood and something sweeter underneath. His scarred lips are rough against hers, but gentle, so impossibly gentle, as if she's something precious he's afraid to break. The light explodes. It pours from every part of her, flooding through their joined hands, their pressed lips, the connection between two souls that refuse to be separated. She feels the curse writhe and scream and finally begin to dissolve. When the radiance fades, Seraphine collapses against his chest, utterly spent. But beneath her ear, his heartbeat is strong and steady. Sarah. His arms wrap around her, pulling her closer. My fierce little healer, my unexpected bride. Your queen, she mumbles against his skin, too exhausted to move. Don't forget that part. His laugh rumbles through his chest, vibrating against her cheek. It's rusty, unpracticed, a sound she suspects he hasn't made in years. My queen, he agrees softly. My heart, my home. Dawn breaks through the chamber windows, painting everything in shades of gold. And for the first time since the assassination attempt, Kale sleeps without pain. Seraphine watches him in the growing light, the scars that will never fully fade, the peace that softens his features, the steady rise and fall of his chest. He's alive. They're both alive. And somehow, impossibly, they've found each other in the darkness. Spring comes to Thornhaven like a promise kept, where once there were only training grounds and barren stone. Gardens now bloom with lavender and moonflower. The healing wing that Seraphine restored has become the heart of the fortress, always filled with patients and apprentices learning the old arts. The culture of suffering didn't die overnight. Some warriors still grumble about weakness and coddling. Some elders shake their heads at the laughter that now echoes through the halls. But change has taken root, and nothing can stop it now. Kale stands on the balcony overlooking the main courtyard, watching children play where soldiers once drilled in grim silence. His scars remain, some wounds mark us forever, but the black veins are gone. The curse that haunted him for a decade has finally released its grip. He turns when he hears her approach, and the smile that transforms his face still makes Seraphine's breath catch. "They're asking for you in the healing wing," she says, sliding her arms around his waist. "Something about a warrior who insists he doesn't need help for his broken ankle. Let me guess, young Brennan? 3rd time this month." She grins against his shoulder. "I think he just likes the attention." Kale laughs, a real laugh, full and warm, nothing like the hollow sound she remembers from their first weeks together. He's learned to laugh again, to hope, to love without fear. "I received a letter from Ashford," he says quietly, his arms tightening around her. Seraphine tenses. Her family. The people who discarded her like broken pottery. Leora wants to visit. Apparently her Alpha Guard wasn't quite the romantic escape she imagined. His voice carries a note of dark amusement. "Your father is begging me to accept her, instead," says the treaty specified his eldest daughter. "And what did you tell him?" Kale turns her in his arms, cupping her face with hands that once dealt only death, but now touch her with reverent tenderness. "I told him I already have Aldrich's daughter, the only one who matters." The full moon rises that night over a transformed kingdom. Seraphine stands before the gathered pack in a gown of silver and white, her heart pounding with joy, instead of fear. Kale waits for her at the ancient altar, his amber eyes holding promises that words could never capture. "You were brought here as a replacement," he says, his voice carrying to every ear. "A substitute bride nobody expected to matter. But you saved me, Sera. Not just my life, my soul. You showed me that strength isn't found in suffering alone. It's found in the courage to heal, to hope, to love, even when love terrifies us." He takes her hand, pressing it over his heart. "I was told my fate was written in cursed steel, that I would die young, angry, and alone. But you changed that fate. You changed everything." Under the silver light of the full moon, surrounded by wolves who've learned to believe in something beyond pain, the Alpha King marks his queen as his eternal mate. His bite is gentle, his promise is forever, and as their wolves twine together in the moonlight, his dark as midnight, hers bright as dawn, Seraphine finally understands what her grandmother tried to teach her all those years ago. The greatest healing isn't mending bones or curing curses, it's showing a broken heart that it's safe to love again.